Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to declare the inaugural ceremony of iPURSE 2026 officially open.
Light dispels darkness. Educational wisdom dispels darkness of ignorance. Let us begin today's proceedings with lighting of the traditional oil lamp, symbolizing wisdom, knowledge, and prosperity.
May I now cordially invite the following dignitaries to light the oil lamp. The chief guest, Professor Lakshman Samaranayake, former Dean of the Dentistry, University of Hong Kong and University of Queensland, Australia. The guest of honor, Dr. Rohan Jeremiah, Associate Dean, Global Health, Professor Human Development Nursing Science, University of Illinois, Chicago, USA. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujaith, University of Peradeniya. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Ranjit Pallegama, Professor M.D. Lamawansar, former Vice Chancellor, representing all Council members and former Vice Chancellors.
The keynote speaker, Professor Suranga Nanayakkara, Associate Professor and Vice Dean at School of Computing, National University of Singapore. The Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Professor Barana Jayawardena, representing all Deans of the University of Peradeniya. The Director of the University Research Council, Professor Janaka Ekanayak, and the ceremonial co-chair of iPURSE 2026, Professor Damayanti Dasanayake.
Thank you, sirs and madam. Please may I request everyone to rise for the national anthem.
Thank you, sir, madam.
The journey of iPURSE 2026 has been steered by dedicated vision and relentless effort of able leadership. It is now my honor to invite Professor Janaka Ekanayaka on behalf of Professor Rupika Rajakaruna, the General Chair of iPURSE 2026, to officially welcome you all.
Good morning, everyone. Professor Lakshman Samarnayaka, the chief guest of event today, and Professor Rohan, the guest of honor, our keynote speakers, the Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, Deputy Vice Chancellor, distinguished invitees, awardees, and my dear friends. Before I begin, I wanted to share a quick note with you. Professor Rajakaruna, our General Chair, was unable to join us today due to an unavoidable reason. She asked me to convey her sincerest apologies for not being able to be with you here in person and to deliver her message. Let me now share her words with you. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is my distinct privilege to welcome researchers, postgraduate scholars, academics, industry professionals, and distinguished guests to the Peradeniya University International Research Symposium and Exposition, iPURSE 2026. We are honored by your presence at this annual celebration of intellectual curiosity, innovation, and scholarly excellence. Every meaningful discovery begins with a question, but its true value is released only when knowledge is translated into understanding, innovation, and service to the society. Research challenges us to explore beyond the boundaries of current knowledge to address complex global and local challenges and to contribute to sustainable human development. It is both an intellectual pursuit and a responsibility to future generations. Over the years, iPURSE has evolved into a premier forum, a place where emerging researchers and established scholars exchange ideas, foster multidisciplinary collaborations, and present research spanning science, technology, medicine, agriculture, engineering, the humanities, and social sciences. This year, the program reflects the diversity and excellence of postgraduate research at the University of Peradeniya and beyond. We received over 680 abstracts, submissions this year, a testimony to the growing reputation and academic standing of iPURSE. Owing to program and venue limitations, approximately 2/3 of these submissions have been selected for oral and poster presentations through a rigorous review process. The conference also features keynote lectures by international renowned scholars, exhibitions, networking opportunities, and discussions designed to stimulate collaboration and inspire new research directions. I encourage all of you to engage actively, to exchange ideas across disciplines, and to build partnerships that extend well beyond this symposium. The success of iPURSE 2020 reflects the dedication of many individuals. On behalf of Professor Rajakaruna, I wanted to sincerely thank our keynote speakers, authors, reviewers, session chairs, sponsors, exhibitors, the iPURSE committee members, volunteers, and the university administration for their invaluable contribution and unwavering support. She hopes iPURSE 2026 provides an inspiring and rewarding experience for all participants and that it serves as a catalyst for innovative ideas, enduring collaborations, and impactful research that advances knowledge and benefits to the society. On her behalf, I wish you all productive symposium and a memorable stay at the beautiful University of Peradeniya. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ekanayaka, for that warm welcome.
The University of Peradeniya provides the foundation and spirit of this pursuit of knowledge. It is with great pleasure that I now invite the Vice-Chancellor of University of Peradeniya, Professor Terence Madhujit, to address this gathering.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The chief guest, Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka, the guest of honor, Professor Rohan Jeremiah from Associate Dean, Global Health, University of Chicago, Illinois, the United States of America, and Professor Rohan Professor Suranga Nanayakara, the Director, University Research Council, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the former Vice Chancellors, Professor M.D. Lamavansa, and Professor Atula Senaratna, the management committee members of the University Research Council, deans of faculties, directors of postgraduate institutions, the committee members, heads of departments, academic staff members, non-academic staff members, most importantly, the award winners, postgraduate students, invitees, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me congratulate the University Research Council headed by Professor Janaka Ekanayaka for bringing the glory back to our flagship symposium, which seconds only to the annual general convocation of this 84-year-old university, University of Peradeniya. And as Professor Ekanayaka mentioned, research is at the core of our university, that legacy that our forefathers created in this university needs to continue for another few generations for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, under lots of restrictions, facing lots of challenges, including Ditwa that destroyed part of our university just 9 months ago, we have still been at the very forefront of this entire state university system in absorbing our students. And I am proud to say and proud to stand before you as a Vice Chancellor of Peradeniya. This Monday, University of Peradeniya Faculty of Engineering absorbed the first batch in this entire country, across all faculties, all disciplines, all universities, Faculty of Engineering, and the second batch, 2025 A-level batch. And not forgetting the acting registrar, Ms. Dharmasiri, and also Bursa, CMO, welcoming all of them, and dear Reverend Sir. The University of Peradeniya, even amidst these challenges, Ditwa, we have completed our convocation on time. And taking students, the next group is coming to the Faculty of Medicine in few weeks to come, by mid-September. And we are hoping to complete taking the students of 2025 cohort before the end of this year for almost all faculties. Perhaps WET might be struggling for all good reasons. Besides, all faculties we are planning to absorb them before the end of this year. And last year, ladies and gentlemen, we published 503 full-length articles, plus all conference proceedings and abstracts. It comes to 1,283. And number of research grants in 2023, we received all total from inside and from outside sources, 243 in 2023. And in 2024, we received 247. And the highest number in the history last year, that's 297 research grants we received. That includes NRC, SL CARP, National Science Foundation, IAEA, many. Now that highlights the progress of research. And I understand that more than 600 abstracts have been received. If you could remember, in 2018-2019 time, the university at the Senate, there was a debate whether we should continue iPURSE or we should completely drop, since so many other symposia have sprung up in the university system. Ladies and gentlemen, there were few who argued against, or rather pro, to have or to continue with iPURSE, and we finally brought this glory back iPURSE is just second to our annual general convocation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm happy to see that our research excellence is internationally recognized. Just a couple of days ago, Center for World University Ranking identified University of Peradeniya as the #1 university in Sri Lanka. There are only 3 universities selected from the country. And we are among the top 8% of the world universities. Our international rank is, our placement is 1695th place, as I remember. That's a wonderful achievement, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to all researchers that have contributed to this number. Of course, what we do now will reflect upon us in another few years to come. So there's always an incubation period involved. And thanks to the visionary leadership of the former Vice Chancellors, this University Research Council evolved, ladies and gentlemen. As I remember, this was started to take care of 2 entities, international as well as research, way back in 2012 as International Relations Office. And this transformed a number of times, and finally in 2019, 2020 time, this was separated out, since these two are 2 different jobs. One person could not handle one director. As a result, we had divided this into 2 divisions. One is International Relations Office, which became now Center for Global Engagement, as I remember. We renamed it just a few weeks ago. And University Research Council. I happen to be the founder, director of University Research Council. During that time, we introduced this Tier 4 star awards, and also promoted research sessions and felicitating best researchers in each faculty now, which has become the part of their academic calendar of each faculty, every faculty. Now, with regard to allocations, ladies and gentlemen, this year we have allocated the highest amount of funding for research. Last year it was 100 million. This year I'm happy to say that 130 million, 30 million extra for research. And understanding the importance. And during Ditwa last year, a significant number of entities were destroyed, including very valuable scientific equipment, especially at the Faculty of Vet Medicine and Animal Science, Faculty of Agriculture. And government committed 2.5 billion rupees, of which 1,050 for equipment and another 1,400 million for construction. This year we received 400 million, and out of that we have already spent more than half. And equipment ordering is in the pipeline. By the early next year, we will be completing purchasing all equipment required. And through donations, we received more than 600 computers, desktops plus laptops, thanks to alumni associations, donors, well-wishers, and many other local corporate sector organizations. Just last year, I should mention this name, Citizen Development Finance PLC, handed over the newly refurbished IT center, spending more than 42 million rupees within a span of just 4 months, without any burden to University of Peradeniya. All purchasing, refurbishment, everything was done by the team from CDB. My heartfelt gratitude to the team on behalf of the university community. And I'm happy to see the faces of 4 world 2% scientists, Professor Samath Dharmatna, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka himself, and Dr. Suravira, and Dr. Alahakon. Congratulations, World 2% Scientists. You have brought a lot of glory to the university, and we should put our hands together. And for the first time in the history, we started felicitating the best researchers publishing their valuable findings in Q1 journals. And this year I am really happy. Yesterday night I kept signing more than 300 certificates that highlights the volume of work that has gone into high-end journals. And ladies and gentlemen, there are a few challenges. Of course, we know that the Sri Lanka is facing a lot of challenges. So this research should reach the end users, the farmers, the industry, and general public. So our researchers should focus a little more on having better impact to the society, to the globe. Waste management and agriculture. The part of the country is severely affected by the droughts and food production, nutrition, and engineering challenges that we face. Now, DITWA came last year, November 27th. Just a few weeks ago, in early August, again we found the problem. And it was near DITWA too, but fortunately it was not. This time the Mahaveli was not too disturbing. Fortunately, we had enough time to rescue and send our students back. So these challenges, ladies and gentlemen, we are facing. Thanks to debt restructuring, we are surviving, but we have to repay these loans. Therefore, we should increase our production capacity. We should increase exports. We should minimize imports. There, the contribution of scientists, researchers, scholars is, we have no words to explain. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear senior researchers, junior researchers, your outcome should reach the end users. That number of patents, I am not really satisfied with the number of patents and number of startups. These are the places where that we should capitalize on, we should focus more on. So from the university central administration, we are providing the best, maybe best not be the best, but we are trying our best to provide you with the best equipment, best infrastructure, best connectivity, and best working environment. It is quite disheartening to see in public we are questioned. We are questioned as to how you pay for University Research Council director and what is the legitimate right the University of Peradeniya has to establish University Research Council. And we have established nearly 17, not nearly, exactly 17 such entities, and our academics are voluntarily working. They are receiving just 10,000, 15,000 rupees, while we are trying our best to push this forward with the limited resources. Quite disheartening, ladies and gentlemen, to see we are harassed and we are challenged by in public and asking what is the legitimate right we have to establish those entities. These things should be addressed. I think those who can, please make sure you keep them informed. We are not doing this for joke, but to keep these institutions running. So without much ado, let me congratulate all paper presenters, their senior and junior researchers, authors, and thank you very much, Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka, for coming all the way from your home country and establishing for the first time in the history this endowment professorship. And my heartiest congratulations goes to Professor Rohan Chandrajit, the recipient of Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka Endowment Fellowship. Again, we have to put our hands together to celebrate his achievements. And university, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Samaranayaka topped up thanks to our BURSE and the team, university committed to top it up, make 1:1 match. Thank you, Professor MD Lamawan sir, for your visionary leadership, who initiated this, and thanks to see it going. And also, at last, I should mention one name, that's Professor Sivalingam Sivanathan from University of Chicago, Illinois, who has contributed enormously. It's a countless number of millions over the last couple of years to establish and promote research at the University of Peradeniya. So once again, let me congratulate all the recipients, all the awardees, all researchers for your wonderful work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words.
We are truly honored and privileged to have with us an eminent academic leader and a distinguished figure in the field of health sciences. Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka is a name synonymous with excellence, innovation, and international recognition in dentistry and medical education. He has made remarkable contributions to the advancement of oral health, research, and higher education, both locally and globally. His outstanding academic achievements, visionary leadership, and commitment to nurturing future generations of health professionals have earned him immense respect and admiration. His presence with us today is a great honor and inspiration to all of us. It is now my distinct honor to invite Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka to address the gathering.
Vice Chancellor, Professor Madhujit, distinguished members of the University Council, the Research Council, Deputy Vice Chancellor, the international guest speakers, and the members of the University Research Council, and distinguished guests from Sri Lanka and overseas, award winners, academic colleagues, researchers, students, and ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. It is a great honor and a deeply personal privilege for me to address you as the chief guest at this year's iPURSE once again. For me, returning to Peradeniya is never merely a professional visit. It is a homecoming. This is the university that shaped my intellect, disciplined my curiosity, and gave me the confidence to step into the wider world. So above all, I remain a grateful son of Peradeniya. So I came here first as a, very young, immature student of dentistry, but I received was much more than a professional education. I received a way of thinking, a respect for evidence, a reverence for learning, and an enduring belief that knowledge is meaningful only when it serves the society. So at the very beginning, when I went abroad as a researcher, what was initially a curiosity about a microbe, it is my research area is on fungal infections of the oral cavity. And this is a small fungus which lives in 50% of our population here. And that eventually became a career spanning not only dentistry, clinical microbiology, pathology, scholarship, mentorship, editorial leadership, and university administration across several parts of the world. Yet, whatever I may have achieved rests firmly on the foundations laid here by my teachers, by my colleagues, and by this remarkable institution. Today, therefore, I speak not only as a former student, not only as an academic and not only as a donor, but as someone who believes profoundly in the moral duty of giving back. So this year's iPURSE takes place at a particularly historic moment for the university. By that I mean the establishment, as Vice Chancellor correctly said, the first endowed professorship at Peradeniya. So for me, it's not merely a personal milestone, it is an institutional milestone. So I strongly believe that it is the first for a Sri Lankan university in this particular form, and therefore not only of local significance, but of national significance. Universities are built not only by buildings, laboratories, lecture theaters, administrative structures. They are built by ideas, by people, by traditions, and by willingness of one generation to invest in the next generation. So the endowed professorship is precisely that spirit. It's an investment not only for today, but for tomorrow and beyond, and in perpetuity. That is the most important thing. And it's a mechanism by which excellence is recognized, sustained, and transmitted across generations. So in many of the great universities, endowed chairs have become among the highest symbols of academic distinction. So some of you may not know that the first endowed chair was begun during the time of Henry VIII in 1505. I can still remember the year because that was the year when Portuguese invaded our country, right? So it was the first endowed chair in divinity in University of Cambridge. And since then, that tradition has become prevalent in many great universities of the world, Harvard, Oxford, and so on and so forth. Just to give you an example, in the University of Hong Kong, we have, where I served as a dean and so on, we have more than 110 endowed chairs. So imagine the amount of the private donations coming into the university research system through this. Okay, just a little bit of history. So I believe that what we are initiating today is not an isolated act, and hopefully it is a hallowed tradition. And my sincere and dear hope is that this first step will not remain the last, and that I hope that other faculties, other alumni, philanthropists, industrialists, there are plenty in Sri Lanka now, can donate a small amount for this private-public research partnership. This is a pathway through which they too can contribute to the future of Peradeniya, and through Peradeniya to the future of Sri Lanka. So the central theme of my small discussion today is simply giving back. Every society depends on those who are willing to return something to the institutions and communities that nurture them. Winston Churchill captured this spirit beautifully when he wrote, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." So another famous saying which I really like and which I say at various occasions is, "What we keep is only what we give." What we keep is only what we give. A life measured only by personal success is incomplete. A life becomes whole when personal success is transformed into public good, as I said earlier. So in our own cultural and spiritual heritage, so the idea of giving back is deeply entrenched. However, this doesn't happen in the university system. Now, the Buddhist concept of dana is not simply charity, it's a discipline of generosity and recognition of that we possess, whether wealth, knowledge, time, or influence. And so it could be knowledge, the teachers teaching students, giving knowledge, so giving back. And So the Dhammapada also reminds us, Sabbadanam Dhammadanam Jinati, which means gift of truth excels all other gifts. And for Christian tradition also expressed this beautifully in Matthew 10, freely you have received, freely give. So for those of us who benefited from free education in Sri Lanka, this teaching has special resonance. We received freely, so we too must give freely. In the context of a university, we may extend that thought further, ladies and gentlemen. The gift of knowledge, as I said, the gift of opportunity, and the gift of enabling future scholars may be among the most enduring gifts one can offer. When we endow a professorship, support a student, build a research fund, and so on and so forth, we are not simply giving money. We are giving confidence to the next generation. We are saying that we believe in you and we believe in this institution. So as I said earlier, I am acutely conscious of that I am a beneficiary of Sri Lanka's extraordinary commitment to free education. So my early schooling through university, I received an education that elsewhere, such as USA and Europe, will cost a small fortune, as you all know. So here it was made available through the vision of national leaders like Professor Dr. D.W. Kannangara, the labor of our teachers, labor of our laborers, the sacrifice of ordinary citizens. Now, Vice Chancellor said that we are getting so many research donations from the, not donations, rather, research money, like financial support from the government. So where does that money come from? It comes from ordinary citizens, right? So this gift is priceless, but it is not free in the moral sense. So it creates a debt of gratitude, not a debt that can ever be fully repaid, but a responsibility to ensure that others receive the same opportunities and perhaps even better opportunities than we received. Again, the Vice Chancellor alluded to the fact that we are having, despite the fact that we had Ditwa and all these catastrophic issues, we are rebuilding this university, and I'm so really happy to see the progress which has been made, and I would like to congratulate the Vice Chancellor and his team, the leadership team, for really doing a wonderful job. So I have had the privilege of working in several major universities, at least in 5 different continents. I have seen institutions with extraordinary resources and global reputation. But I have learned something which is very important, that the true greatness of a university does not lie in the rankings alone. Rankings are important, but the true greatness lies in the quality of its teachers, the integrity of its scholarship, the curiosity of its students, and the values it transmits to the society. Again, this is something which we have to be very conscious of, how we educate the public, that we are here to serve the public. And this, again, is another talk which I can give later, perhaps. So this is why Peradeniya remains so special. This landscape is so beautiful near Mahavalley, and its history is distinguished. But its deepest beauty lies in the people it has formed and the services those people continue to render across Sri Lanka and abroad. So iPURSE is, of course, a celebration of research. It's a moment when the university pauses to recognize inquiry, discovery, innovation, and scholarly achievement. So research should never be viewed as an academic luxury. I think 80% of the people in Sri Lanka think it's an academic luxury, and they never think of the translational potential of research into the common society. But I think, of course, we know that in Sri Lanka, research is not a luxury, it's a national necessity. At its best, research is not merely the production of papers, it is a disciplined pursuit of solutions. A university research culture must therefore create knowledge, train people who can think independently, and convert knowledge into for benefit of the society. So the researchers we are honoring today are part of that mission. Your work matters, whether your field is medicine, dentistry, agriculture, engineering, geology, science, and so on and so forth. Your contribution forms part of that large national fabric. So excellence in research does not rise by accident. It must be nurtured, recognized, protected, and sustained, and that's why research support is very, very critical. So as we heard, a young researcher needs so much equipment, network, recognition, and above all, an environment that also says that your work is valued. So this is why awards, research grants, scholarships, professorships, and institutional recognition matters. They are not just ceremonial. They send a signal. They say that scholarship is important, that excellence will be noticed, and the university believe in its own people. For the recipient of an endowed professorship, the honor represents more than a title. It's, of course, a public recognition of intellectual achievement, a symbol of trust. So in a period when many talented academics are tempted and sometimes compelled to seek opportunities overseas, these forms of recognition become even more important. We cannot build the future of Sri Lanka, higher education, if we do not retain, encourage, and celebrate our best minds. We know that. But no single donor, no single chair, and no single initiative can transform a university alone. So what is now needed is a culture. I know that Peradeniya has an extraordinary alumni family diaspora. I think Vice Chancellor once said, I think more than 125,000 or whatever. So they now serve in Sri Lanka and across the various parts of the world as academics, doctors, dentists, artists, scientists, and so on. And virtually in every field of human endeavor. So this alumni body is one of our greatest untapped strengths, and we believe that we should actually tap this strength. And I know Vice Chancellor, and together with myself and others in US, we are trying to help and facilitate this process. So I therefore appeal today to alumni, industrialists, or philanthropists who are hearing this to serve and to the Sri Lankan diaspora especially, to recognize this historic effort and follow suit. The private sector therefore has a role. Industry, they don't realize, benefits from the knowledge, skills, and creativity that universities produce. So philanthropy in higher education not be seen as charity, it should be seen as nation building. So just to come back to the endowed professorship, first one, it's a historic not only because it's new, but because it opens a door. It shows that such a model is possible in Sri Lanka. It shows that alumni can be structured, transparent, and sustainable. And it shows that philanthropy in public higher education work together for a common good in a public-private partnership. So I believe that Sri Lankan universities need not wait passively for better times. They can create new traditions, mobilize their alumni, and build institutional strength, even in challenging times. So my sincere hope also is that other universities in Sri Lanka will follow suit, because each university has a diaspora of alumni, and this model can be adapted easily across the higher education sector, just like in all the other parts of the world. This is not an impossible dream. It requires vision, governance, trust, and sustained commitment. So today, Peradeniya has taken that pioneering step. So in this context, I have to express my sincere appreciation to the leadership of previous Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lama Vansa, who initially embraced my proposal at an iPURSE ceremony such as this. And his vision actually has created this moment. And subsequent to the University Council and the Senate, we have passed statutes, and all the leadership in these statutory bodies, I would like to give my special thanks to them as well. And last but not least, in this connection, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka has been tirelessly working to get this endowed professorship into fruition. And also the iPURSE organizing committee, I have to thank Professor Rupika Rajakaruna. I know that events such as this takes a lot of time and effort, and I really applaud them for that. To the award winners and presenters today, particularly Professor of Geology, who is getting the first endowed chair, who is Professor Rohana Chandrajit, I offer my warmest congratulations. Your achievements, sir, are a source of pride to the university. But I hope you will also see as a further call to further service. So it should be a beginning and it should not be an end. I want to just touch on very quickly on something else here. We are living in a time of rapid technological challenges. Artificial intelligence, digital learning, data science, global connectivity are reshaping every field of knowledge. But amid all this, we have to remember that the most important thing is human intelligence. Of course, artificial intelligence is important, but human intelligence, which we are blessed with such an educated populace. Now, I'm going to share with you a very, very startling fact. Please remember this. According to, there's an organization called International IIQ organization. And according to them, Sri Lanka ranks top 15 in terms of knowledge and IQ, top 15 of 137 nations. So do you know how much the Sri Lanka spends in terms of spending for education? We are 160 among 234 nations. We are the top 15 in human intelligence. The amount we spend, spent by the governments. The point I'm trying to make is that we need to bridge that gap for our to create potentially the improvements in human intelligence. So the future of Sri Lanka will depend not only on technology, but an educated, ethical, imaginative, and courageous people. So universities are where such people are formed. So that is why investing in universities is not optional, it is fundamental. As I stand here today, I feel gratitude to my teachers, to my colleagues, to the university, and to the country that gave me a gift of education. The American educator Horace Mann once said, "Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity." So this professorship and all my other donations, which are actually coming into fruition today, particularly the endowed professorship, I do not give it from surplus. I give it from recognition that this university, this country and its people have given me more than I could ever hope to return. So I leave you with this charge, Vice-Chancellor, in closing. To the Vice-Chancellor and the Senate, please guard this chair with pride in perpetuity. Let it hold the finest minds you can find. Let it challenge convention. Let it disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. That is what great teaching does. To the faculty, continue your sacred work. No one thanks you enough. As mentioned by Vice Chancellor, people do a lot of work for, minute sums of money, 10,000, 15,000 rupees. But I think we have to see you, and this nation has to see you. You are the silent architects of tomorrow. To the few students who are here today, dream wildly and work ferociously. You may fail, but fail courageously. You can get up again. To the alumni across the world, hopefully this will go into YouTube, they see that their university still needs them and they could be a part of your alma mater in perpetuity. And also, last but not least, to industrialists and philanthropists, they can join in our effort. And please recognize that supporting research is supporting national development. And let Peradeniya continue to lead, not only in scholarship, but in vision, generosity, and service. Once again, I would like to congratulate all those who have made iPURSE possible, and I would like to salute the researchers who are getting all the different awards mentioned by Professor Ranjit. And may this gathering strengthen our shared commitment to, Professor Janaka, to our shared commitment to knowledge and service and the enduring duty of giving back. Thank you very much indeed.
Sir, please be on the stage. Thank you, dear sir, for your gracious presence and your invaluable insights, which are all the more profound given your deep history with this institution.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to a very special moment in today's proceedings. It is with great honor that we present a token of appreciation to an esteemed individual whose vision and generosity have given life to three remarkable initiatives: the Lakshman Samaranayake Research Excellence Award, the Lakshman Samaranayake Endowed Professorship, and Lakshman Samaranayake Early Career Researcher Award at the Faculty of Dental Sciences. To grace this occasion, I kindly invite Professor Terence Madhujit, Vice Chancellor of University of Peradeniya, together with Professor Janaka Ekanayake, Director of the University Research Council, to please come forward to the stage. Let us all join in celebrating this distinguished contribution to the advancement of research and scholarship. Thank you, sirs. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to one of the most anticipated segments of the morning, the presentation of awards to outstanding scholarly contributions and recognized individuals who have brought pride to the university through their dedication for research and academic excellence.
First, we will move to Professor Lakshman Samaranayake Endowed Professorship. This is an academic distinction established to recognize and promote excellence in higher education, research, and innovation. The professorship aims to foster advanced scholarship, research excellence, capacity building, and global academic collaboration while inspiring future generations of educators and researchers. Since King Henry VIII approved Oxford's first endowed chair in divinity in 1505, the endowed professorship has stood as the gold standard of academic recognition, a tradition now embraced by leading universities across the globe. Today, the University of Peradeniya takes its place in that 500-year legacy. We are proud to announce the launch of our inaugural endowed professorship, a groundbreaking initiative that elevates our research capacity and cements our commitment to world-class education for the 21st century.
Professor Rohana Chandrajit, is a senior professor at the University of Peradeniya with over 35 years of distinguished experience in teaching and research. He obtained his Bachelor of Science from the University of Peradeniya, his Master of Science from Shimen University, Japan, and his PhD from the University of Erlangen, Nuremberg, Germany. His research focuses on environmental geochemistry with particular emphasis on integrating chemical, biological, and geological sciences to address complex environmental and public health challenges. His principal research interests include hydrogeochemistry, medical geology, freshwater geochemistry, isotope geochemistry in low temperature geological systems, environmental determinants of human and animal health, and the reconstruction of Holocene climate using geochemical proxies. To confer this historic honor, I have the distinct privilege of inviting our chief guest, the visionary architect behind this very concept at the University of Peradeniya and the inaugural donor who made it a reality, Professor Lakshman Samaranayake, SACTD UNESCO Endowed Professor in Teacher Education, and Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, onto the stage.
Thank you, sir. We kindly request you to remain on the stage to present another prestigious award. The Professor Lakshman Samaranayake Research Excellence Awards are conferred annually upon researchers of exceptional international standing. Selection is rigorously determined by a composite evaluation of scholarly output, competitive research funding, H-index, citation impact, and demonstrable contribution to the advancement of knowledge. Each year, 3 faculties are honored. This year, the distinguished recipients are from the Faculty of Dental Sciences, the Faculty of Engineering, and the Faculty of Science. These recipients will be receiving a cash award of 100,000 rupees. To confer this honor, I would like to invite the chief guest, Professor Lakshman Samaranayake and Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice Chancellor. First, I would like to invite Professor Ruwan Duminder Jayasinghe.
Professor Ruwan Duminder Jayasinghe is a senior professor at the Faculty of Dental Sciences, University of Peradeniya, and an internationally recognized researcher in oral medicine, oral cancer, OPMD, dental radiology, and artificial intelligence in dentistry. He has published over 230 peer-reviewed scientific papers with almost 4,500 citations and an H-index of 30, and has secured competitive national and international research funding.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to invite Professor Kushan Kalmith Vijayasundara.
Professor Kushan Kalmith Vijayasundara is a researcher specializing in earthquake engineering, structural dynamics, finite element formulation, and modeling performance-based seismic design and advanced construction materials. His research highlights include the development and finite element formulations with a non-linear response of shear critical reinforced concrete frame elements, direct displacement based on design for the assessment of buildings.
Next, I would like to invite Professor R.M. Gamini Rajapaksa.
Professor R.M. Gamini Rajapaksa is a senior professor of chemistry at the University of Peradeniya and an internationally recognized researcher in nanotechnology, advanced materials, electrochemistry, and environmental remediation. He has published over 250 scientific papers, holds an H-index of 39, and has supervised more than 50 MPhil PhD graduates.
Thank you, sir. We kindly invite you to remain on the stage to confer the next prestigious award. The Global Top 2% Scientist Award recognizes researchers whose careers are distinguished by exceptional international impact. The award is based on the widely respected Elsevier Stanford Scientist Ranking, which evaluates scientists globally using a comprehensive metric of citation influence, publication performance, and scholarly reach. Inclusion in this ranking places recipients among the top 2% of scientists worldwide, a hallmark of sustained research excellence. To confer this prestigious honor, I kindly invite again our chief guest and the Vice Chancellor. The members are recognized as career-long citation impact up to the end of 2024 based on their overall lifetime research impact, assessed through cumulative citation performance, H-index, authorship contribution, and composite citation scores, and also as 2025 research influence and citation performance. To recognize top 2% of research worldwide as demonstrated by both career-long achievement and single-year performance, I invite first Professor Janaka B. Ekanayaka, Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Faculty of Engineering. Next, I would like to invite Professor S.D. Dharmaratna, Department of Community Medicine, Faculty of Medicine. To recognize top 2% of researchers worldwide based on career-long achievement, I cordially invite Dr. S.A.H.A. Suravira, Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Faculty of Engineering. Next, to recognize top 2% of researchers worldwide for the 2025 reporting period, I invite Dr. Sampath B. Alahakon, Department of Chemistry, Faculty of Science. Thank you, sirs.
Next, we will present the URC Research Awards. These awards are given away to those outstanding researchers for their research outputs and outcomes in the year 2025 based on publications, patents, and grants. For presenting the awards, may I invite our guest of honor, Professor Rohan Jeremiah, and the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Ranjit Pallegama, onto the stage.
First, I would like to invite Dr. Prabodha Vetasinghe, Faculty of Agriculture. Dr. Gishani M. Somaratna, Faculty of Agriculture. Next, Professor H.D.W. Tushari Damayanti, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences. Next, Dr. Esther Lienage, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences. Next, Venerable Dr. Jambugahabitiye Dhammaloka, Faculty of Arts. Next, Dr. Mohideen M. Ali Khan, Faculty of Arts. Next, Professor Ruwan D. Jaisinghe, Faculty of Dental Sciences. Next, Dr. K. M. Chaturika Padmakumari, Faculty of Dental Sciences. Next, Dr. Nadisha S. Piyaratna, Faculty of Dental Sciences. Next, Dr. Danushka Leuke Bandara, Faculty of Dental Sciences.
Next, Professor K.J. Nadishani Nanayakara from the Faculty of Engineering. Next, Dr. H.A.D. Samit Buddhika from the Faculty of Engineering. Next, we have Dr. J.A.S.C. Jaisinghe from the Faculty of Engineering. Next, we have Dr. N.G. Pandukabandaran Eluela from the Faculty of Engineering. Dr. A. J. Dhammika from the Faculty of Engineering. So on behalf of him, our Dean, sir, is here. Next, we have Professor Damitha A. Gunawardana from the Faculty of Medicine. Dr. H.M. Tilanka W. Seneviratna from the Faculty of Medicine. Dr. D. M. Sampath Tushara Gnanaratna from the Faculty of Medicine. Dr. E. Varuni Kosgallana from the Faculty of Medicine. On behalf of Professor Rupika Subhashini Rajakaruna, we would like to invite Professor Deepthi Akandavala from the Faculty of Science. And next, we would like to also invite Professor D.M. Deepthi Akandavala from the Faculty of Science. On behalf of Professor K.M.G. Jehan Jayasuriya, we would like to invite Professor Sumedha Madavala from the Faculty of Science. On behalf of Professor T.M.W.J. Bandara, we would like to invite Professor V. Sivakumar from the Faculty of Science. On behalf of Dr. Prasanna Lashita Dharmapriya, we would like to invite Professor H. Malaviarachi, and also on behalf of Dr. Nadisha H. Koralagedara, I would like to invite Professor S. Malaviarachi from the Faculty of Science.
Thank you, sir, for joining us for the award distribution. Heartfelt congratulations to the award winners. Let us give a round of applause for all our achievers.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we shall briefly pause for refreshments and to acknowledge those who have supported the success of this symposium. As we share a curated selection of videos, we invite you to enjoy the refreshments that will be served to you. We are pleased to inform you that all snacks are vegetarian.
While enjoying the refreshments, let us now watch a short video message from the URC, which spearheaded iPURSE conference from 2022 and our sponsors whose generosity and encouragement have been invaluable in making the iPURSE 2026 possible.
At the University of Peradeniya, research is the heartbeat of progress. Established in 2020, the University Research Council was founded under the leadership of the current Vice-Chancellor, Professor Terence Mudgett, to build a stronger culture of research across the university. In September 2021, Professor Janika Ekanayaka took on the challenge of driving the URC forward as its director. Today, he leads the URC together with two deputy directors, Professor Rupika Rajakaruna and Dr. Ruan Ranavir. Since its inception, the URC has introduced many initiatives to support researchers, including the APC scheme, the Multidisciplinary Research Grant Scheme, and several award schemes that recognize research excellence across the university. URC also took over the organization of iPURSE in 2023. Since then, URC has been responsible for organizing iPURSE each year with the support of all faculties and the URC Management Committee. While introducing these schemes, URC also gave leadership to creating university-level research centers. One such initiative is a multidisciplinary AI research center, which is also called MARC. Alongside its core role of multidisciplinary research, MARC also stands on other pillars: training, awards, innovation, and has already delivered a number of success stories. MARC is navigated by its able group of leaders and researchers. Some of the research undertaken at MARC. Also, MARC is instrumental in developing an able AI workforce at all levels. Recent MARC research assistants who started PhDs are shown here. And tomorrow, URC takes another step forward, laying the foundation stone for the Multidisciplinary Environmental and Health Research Center, which is also called MEHRC. Led by Director Professor Gayan Bowatta and Deputy Director Professor Nadeshani Nanayakara. MEHRC will bring together hydrologists, engineers, environmental scientists and health researchers to tackle challenges in climate-resilient groundwater governance, sustainable agriculture and public health. The University Research Council invites you to join us and witness this momentous occasion.
The technology uses a multiple polymer hydrophilic matrix technology to achieve extended release of metformin hydrochloride. When Cetapin XR tablets come in contact with the GI fluids, the matrix imbibes water, hydrates, and forms a gelatinous swellable matrix, which controls the rate and extent of release of metformin hydrochloride. When the pill enters the stomach, it starts expanding to a size that will not pass into the intestinal tract. The release of metformin then begins via the process of dissolution of the drug and its diffusion through the gel matrix and matrix erosion. The pill steadily releases the drug, and only once metformin has been fully released does it dissolve and pass through the intestinal tract to be excreted.
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now resume the session. A key outcome of any conference is the dissemination of knowledge. We will now officially launch the iPURSE 2026 conference e-proceedings.
For this launch, I invite the Publication Committee Co-Chair, Professor V. Sivakumar, and Dr. Jayampathy, and the Technical Program Committee Chair, iPURSE 2026, Dr. Ruwan Ranavira, onto the stage. To launch the proceedings, may I invite Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, onto the stage.
Thank you. The knowledge contained within these proceedings will now be accessible online to the global research community. Next, we will move to the presentation of the special issue of Ceylon Journal of Science. This issue has been compiled through a rigorous selection of high-quality papers presented at iPURSE 2025. May I kindly invite the Editor-in-Chief of Ceylon Journal of Science, Professor Sumedha Madavala, and the Ceylon Journal of Science Special Issue Chairs, Dr. Ruwan Ranavira and Professor Susij Wickramasinghe, to join us on stage for the special presentation. To receive the first copy of the journal, may I request Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice Chancellor of University of Peradeniya, and Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, onto the stage. Thank you, sirs and madam. The publication of this special issue of Ceylon Journal of Science marks an important milestone in disseminating valuable research contributions during iPURSE 2025, and we are committed to do the same this year. We are pleased to inform you that the latest issue of the journal is now published. You can read and download the issue directly from the journal website.
We now move to the first keynote presentation of the conference, which explores the timely and thought-provoking theme, Healing Across Borders, from Determinants to Determination to Durability in Global Health Equity. We are honored to have with us Professor Rohan D. Jeremiah, Associate Dean, Global Health, Professor Human Development Nursing Science, University of Illinois, Chicago. I invite Professor Damayanti Dasanayaka to introduce our first keynote speaker.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to introduce Professor Rohan D. Jeremiah, who will deliver today's keynote address. Professor Rohan Jeremiah is a global public health scholar and academic leader, serving as Associate Dean for Global Health and Professor of Human Development and Nursing Science at the University of Illinois, Chicago College of Nursing. He is a faculty affiliate of the University of Illinois Cancer Center and the PAHO WHO Collaborating Center for International Nursing Development in Primary Health Care, and a fellow of the Society for Applied Anthropology and the UIC Network of Global Scholarship. Trained in applied medical anthropology and global public health, his interdisciplinary scholarship examines the structural, social, and cultural determinants of health with a focus on eliminating racial, ethnic, and gender inequities, particularly in minority men's health, refugee health, HIV/AIDS, cancer disparities, and sexual and gender minority populations. He has produced more than 80 peer-reviewed publications and technical reports and secured more than $2.5 million in competitive extramural funding as PIOMPI. With over 2 decades of global health experience, Dr. Jeremiah has led research and health system strengthening initiatives across Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, Latin America, the Eastern Caribbean, Southeast Asia, and the United States. His work has impacted communities in more than 20 countries and is grounded in community-based participatory research, implementation science, and culturally responsive intervention designs. A recognized leader in global health diplomacy, Dr. Jeremiah has provided technical expertise to the United Nations, USAID, UNICEF, and the Inter-American Development Bank, where he currently serves as consultant and technical advisor. He is the co-founder of the Public Health Action Support Team. This global rapid response initiative has reached an estimated 40 million individuals across the Caribbean and the United States. As Associate Dean, he directs the Global Health Leadership Office, overseeing an equity-centered study abroad portfolio or Global Health Certificate Program, a visiting scholars and students program, and graduate and undergraduate summer research institutes. He has held appointments at St. George's University, the University of the West Indies, and St. Louis University. He has engaged as a lecturer and advisor at more than 20 international institutes. Guided by a vision of inclusive, just, and people-centered health systems, Dr. Jeremiah's work bridges research, policy, and practice to advance global health equity and strengthen community resilience worldwide. His dedication to advancing global health, nursing education, and leadership has earned his recognition across Sri Lanka and abroad. Today, he will share insights on healing across borders, from determinants to determination to durability in global health equity, drawing from his rich experience in academia, research, and global collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Rohan D. Jeremiah to deliver the keynote address. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. So first, I would like to acknowledge my distinguished colleagues that are here in the front with me, as well as to any other distinguished colleagues and members that are part of the audience. It's a great pleasure to be here at University of Peradeniya and to join you for the 2026 conference. I want to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the university leadership and to the University Research Council, and then to the entire iPURSE organization committee for the invitation and for the tremendous work that has gone into bringing this International Research Committee together. I especially want to recognize Professor Raja Karuna, the General Chair, along with the conference chairs, the organizing committee, the faculty, the staff, the students, the volunteers, and everyone else who has been involved in making these 2 days possible. I particularly want to be I also am very grateful for returning to Kandy as I was here back in February. And over the past few months, my engagement with colleagues have grown into relationships that I value tremendously. One grounded in not simply in institutional collaboration, but in shared learning, mutual respect, and a common commitment to improving health and strengthening communities. I also want to recognize all of you, the researchers, the educators, the practitioners, the partners who have come together from different disciplines and different parts of the world. Your presence reflects precisely what this conference theme calls us to do: integrate knowledge across borders. And the idea of crossing borders, whether it be between countries, disciplines, institutions, and ways of knowing, is particularly meaningful for the conversation I would like to have with you today. I adjusted my keynote title to reflect that it's Healing Across Borders, Global Health, Social Determinants, and the Power of Local Knowledge. I want to begin with the central premise. Global health does not begin somewhere else. It is here, it is local, and it's shaped by the forces that connect our communities across borders. I want to organize this discussion around three questions. First, determinants. What produces inequity? This is the diagnostic question. What are the social, economic, political, environmental, and institutional conditions that shape health? The second question is what I describe as determination. Who has the power to change those conditions? This means accountability, governance, and agency into this discussion. And third, durability. What makes change last? What institutions, people, knowledge, and relationships remain after a project funding cycle ends or the crisis, or a crisis? My central argument is that naming inequity is necessary, but naming inequity is not the same as changing it. So most of us are familiar with the social determinants of health: education, livelihoods, housing, food and water, transportation, health systems, digital access, as well as discrimination. But I want us to think about these not as background variables. They're active pathways. They shape who is exposed to risk, who has protection, who trusts institutions, who can access services, and what treatment options are realistically available, and ultimately who benefits. Social determinants, in many ways, is the architecture through which health opportunities become unequally distributed. So I want to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge a fellow mentor of mine, physician and medical anthropologist Paul Former, who gave global health an important terminology for this problem through the concept of structural violence. His work reminds us that suffering is not randomly distributed. Unequal power, history, policies, and institutions can make certain forms of suffering remarkably predictable. Health statistics often show the manifestation of a problem, and structural analysis asks us to examine the underlying architecture. Therefore, global health has to identify the structures that make harm predictable. So the problem is that identifying determinants can still leave us at the level of description. We may call a population vulnerable without asking what made the population vulnerable. We may design a universal intervention and celebrate average improvements, while the people with the greatest resources benefit the first and disparities remain. Structural vulnerability reminds us that vulnerability is often produced through unequal exposure, inadequate protection, and intersectionality as a framework reminds us that these systems operate simultaneously rather than one at a time. Describing inequity helps us understand the problem, but descriptions alone do not change it. Thus, we must understand the conditions that create and sustain those inequities and identify where we have the opportunities to intervene. That means looking beyond individual behaviors or outcomes and to systems, policies, institutions, history, and social conditions that shape health. So instead of asking only who is vulnerable, we begin asking what histories, institution, policies, and relationships, and even silence made this harm predictable. The analytical focus from the individual alone to the conditions that surround the individual, this brings me to what I call determination. So when we talk about social determinants of health, we often ask, what are the conditions that influence health? We look at factors such as education, income, housing, employment, access to healthcare, and the environment in which people live. But I want us to go a step further and adopt what's called a determination lens, whereby you ask, how did these conditions come to exist in the first place? And more importantly, where are the power, resources, and opportunities to change them? So we're moving from simply identifying the conditions that influence health to understanding the processes that create and sustain those conditions. And that distinction matters, because if we understand how inequities are produced, we're in a much stronger position to determine where and how we can intervene. So now I wanted to briefly talk about some of my own experiences of using these practices. The first is a case study which I conducted a study in the Caribbean that focused on domestic violence. And domestic violence is often approached as being sort of an interpersonal behavioral problem, but it's also deeply connected to the social determinants of health. Safety, disclosure, recovery, and the ability to seek help are shaped by gender power, economic insecurity, stigma, family expectations, and confidence in institutions. So rather than focusing only on who may be vulnerable, we ask what social and structural conditions can increase violence and make it more difficult for individuals to seek support. So the work included a longitudinal qualitative evaluation of the UN Women's Partnership for Peace initiative in Grenada and the Eastern Caribbean. We spoke with men who have used violence and with women affected by violence. And that allowed us to examine the issue from multiple positions within the same social environment. The important point for today is not to discuss the methodology itself. It is what became visible through the structural vulnerability lens. We began to see behaviors occurring within systems of relationships, economic opportunities and constraints, gender expectations, and varying access to institutional protection. This slide shows us the pathways. Historical, educational, and labor arrangements influenced gendered opportunities. Those opportunities shaped mobility and household roles. Economic insecurity can interact with expectations of masculinity, shame, and power. Those pressures can then be experienced through conflict, control, and violence. I want to be clear here, though. Explaining structural roots do not excuse the act of violence or diminish the individual's responsibility of accountability. It's quite the opposite. It strengthens prevention by giving us more intervention points, behavior and accountability, certainly, but also economic stress, gender norms, education, institutional protection, and access to support. But one of the most important findings of this work was the role of silence. It is easy from the outside of a situation to ask why someone did not disclose violence or leave sooner. But silence can be a universal strategy when disclosure threatens economic security, family relationships, social standing, and public safety. Gendered power, economic dependency, stigma, family honor, and limited conditions in available resources and institutions can all shape whether disclosure feels possible. Silence then becomes a health pathway. Delayed disclosure, untreated trauma, continued exposure, and sometimes intergenerational harm. Sometimes what appears to be an individual behavior is actually a rational response to the structural conditions. So the accountability question then becomes, what must institutions, policies, and communities change to make safety possible? The second case I would like to highlight is my work with Rohingya refugees in Chicago. Their health experiences did not begin when they arrived in the United States. Before migration, many experienced persecution, statelessness, conflict, and profound loss. During migration, they faced displacement, uncertainty, and extraordinary difficult conditions. After resettlement, those experiences did not simply disappear. Instead, they interacted with a new set of conditions, be it housing, employment, language, transportation, family separation, belonging, and navigating unfamiliar systems of care. And this is why I see refugee health as inherently local and global. What happens before and during migration continues to shape resettlements. So if we focus only on the arrival of the immediate health needs of refugees when they arrive, we miss much of their health pathways. Supporting long-term refugee health requires us to understand that entire journey and to develop approaches that are both trauma-informed and culturally grounded. So the Rohingyas are a stateless Muslim minority group from Myanmar who have experienced decades of persecution, displacement, and denial of citizenship. In Chicago, those histories encounter new systems, racialized categories, religion, language, labor, healthcare, and the experiences of belonging in a new society. But the story is not about risk. Community formation, faith, practice, identity, mutual support can also become a powerful form of protective infrastructure. So resettlement transforms vulnerabilities across new symptoms, but it can also create new forms of protection and belonging. So what does determination look like in practice? It means building protection into systems rather than allowing risks to accumulate. In our work, trusted community spaces, community-based participatory research, social connections, navigation, shared power, and institutional trust were not peripheral issues. They affected whether people could actively engage with systems. I increasingly think of community-engaged research as not simply a methodology, but as an ethical response to displacement and institutional mistrust, because it changes who participates in producing knowledge and making decisions. The alternative is to leave systems unchanged and ask individuals to be more resilient. Determination means asking who can redesign the conditions, not asking people to become more resilient within conditions we have left unchanged. But even if we identify where power sits and successfully change conditions, another important question remains: does that change last? Creating change is one thing. Building local capacity, leadership, and systems to sustain that change over time is another. Global health is filled with projects, pilot grants, technical assistance programs, and visiting experts. Many of them do valuable work. But the real test is durability, is what happens afterwards. What remains when funding ends, the project concludes, and the crisis passes or the researcher leaves? For me, that is one of the most important questions we should be asking about global health partnerships. And so this brings me to a case that is probably more closer to home for you guys. And know that in 2022, there were a lot of economic disruptions that created enormous pressure across interconnected systems: food insecurity, medicine and supply, shortages, household economic uncertainty, and health systems pressures and mental health strain. I do not present this story as a system failure. I think crises are better understood as stress tests. They expose vulnerability, but they also reveal what parts of the system have deep institutional roots. So the question I want to ask is, what had been built before the crisis that gave the system the capacity to continue functioning and adapting under extraordinary pressure? So Sri Lanka offers an example of durability that can be done in practice. Many of you know in this room that Sri Lanka's public health system is far more deeply than I do. So I highlight the public health midwifery program, not to tell you something you already know, but because of believing it offers an important lesson to the broader global health community. For generations, public health midwives have helped maintain connections among households, communities, and the health system. And what is particularly important in our conversation today is that this community connection was not created temporarily as a project or as a short-term response. It became part of how the health system operates. And this is what makes this example extremely powerful. The relationship between health systems and the community become embedded within a system rather than depending on a particular grant project or outside partner. And that, I would argue, as being one of the clearest examples of durability, when approach becomes part of the system rather than embracing the project alone. So, as we know, there were long-term outcomes of this efforts. There were dramatic reductions in maternal infant mortality, high antenatal coverage, and extensive community needs. But I don't want to focus on the numbers. I want us to focus on what produced the numbers. They represented accumulated investment in workforce, public health, infrastructure, community connectedness, surveillance, education, and institutional continuity. These outcomes were not produced by a singular intervention or donor. They reflect a sustained investment in the project. So I want to take 4 broader lessons from this particular example. First, durability. Durable systems are local. They're rooted in institutions that remain after individual projects end. Second, they're relational. Trust and community connections are infrastructure, not optional extras. And third, they're workforce anchored. People carry the systems forward. And fourth, they're adaptable. Durability does not mean that a system never experiences disruption or that it never needs reform. Durability is not the absence of disruption, it's the capacity to respond, adapt, and continue. So the question is, what does it take to create durability? I would argue that there are four forms of infrastructure that's needed. Institutions, structures that can carry the work forward. People, locally anchored knowledge, skills, leadership, and authority. Governance, mechanisms for coordinating accountability and adaptation. And knowledge, evidence that is locally generated, locally owned, and able to inform future actions. So for a research symposium like this one, I think that this raises an important question that I would want you to contemplate. What kind of research survives the researcher? We often measure research by what we produce: publications, presentations, data, interventions, and grants. But durability asks us to consider something more. What have we left behind for others to continue to use, adapt, and build upon? The strongest research does more than generate evidence. It strengthens the people, the institution, the systems that can carry the knowledge forward long after a particular project has ended. So this is where the role of universities such as Peradeniya comes into play. Universities help develop the next generation. They also generate locally relevant evidence. They connect disciplines, institution, policymakers, and communities, and they translate evidence into practice and policy. And they sustain institutional memory and relationships over time. As a university is therefore more than a site where knowledge is produced. The university is to create the conditions in which knowledge can change systems and in which the capacity to generate and use that knowledge remains. But we also need to think about broadening our perspectives in terms of what we also think about infrastructure. First, in most instances, we think of hospitals, laboratories, roads, information systems, and technology. And all of those matters enormously. But people are also critical to the infrastructure. In my own academic home of nursing, nurses provide a powerful example of this. Nurses connect policy with lived experiences, health systems with communities, evidence with practice, and prevention with treatment. But this principle extends far beyond nursing. Every discipline represented in this room depends upon people who translate the knowledge into actions and sustain that knowledge over time. And so perhaps the question for all of us today is are we investing not only in the knowledge we produce, but also investing in the people who will carry that knowledge forward? And that brings us to talking about partnerships and co-creation. A durable global health partnership cannot be built on a simple model of external expertise flowing in one direction. We need to move from external expertise to mutual expertise, from knowledge transfer to knowledge co-creation, from short-term projects to institutional relationships, and from capacity building to capacity sharing, and from research subjects to research partners. This also means being willing to ask difficult questions. Who sets the agenda? Who owns the data? Whose expertise is recognized? Who benefits? And what remains locally after the collaboration ends? Cross-border partnerships become durable when knowledge, authority, capacity, and benefits are shared. And so let me close by returning to the three questions for which I began. Determinants tells us where inequities live. They help us understand the conditions. But determination asks us who has power, the responsibility to change those conditions. And it asks us to name power and distribute the capacity to act. Durability asks whether what we will build will outlast us, whether institutions, people, governance, knowledge, and relationships will endure. But I do not think that these are simply a three-stage process that goes in a straight line. This is a framework that goes in a cycle. When durable institutions, workforce, knowledge systems, and relationships are built, they begin to reshape the determinants themselves. And what we build today becomes conditions that determine health tomorrow. So the challenge before us is not simply to integrate knowledge across borders. It is to build relationships, institutions, workforce, and systems that allow knowledge to endure and to improve people's lives long after the project has ended. And that is how we move across from borders to bridges, and from interventions to lasting change. And as we continue with this conference, I hope we will carry these questions forward as part of our conversation. Whose knowledge are we listening to? Who has the power and resources to act? And what are we building that will endure? I want to thank the University of Peradeniya, the organizers of the iPURSE 2026 conference, and all of you for the opportunity to share these reflections with you today. Most importantly, I look forward to learning from the research experiences and perspectives that each of you will be presenting throughout the conference. It has been a privilege to be with you this morning. Thank you, and I wish you a very stimulating, productive, and inspiring conference.
Thank you, Professor Rohan, for that thought-provoking and visionary presentation. Please be on the stage for the token of appreciation. Now, I would like to invite Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice-Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, onto the stage to present the token of appreciation to our keynote speaker, guest of honor, Professor Rohan D. Jeremiah, Associate Dean, Global Health, Professor, Human Development Nursing Science, University of Illinois, Chicago.
Thank you, sir. We are now ready to present Research Excellence Awards, Tier 4, to recognize permanent academic and administrative staff with high edge index values across disciplines based on UGC Circular number 5 of 2018. To confer these honours, I would like to invite Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice-Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, and the Director of URC, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, onto the stage. The first awardee is Dr. D.M.P.D. Disseminating from the Faculty of Agriculture. Dr. D.M.S.S. Daundarasekara, Faculty of Agriculture. Professor A.M.A.C.S. Bandara from the Faculty of Engineering. Senior Professor W.D.S.J. Vikramasinghe from the Faculty of Medicine. Professor D.A. Gunawardana from the Faculty of Medicine. Professor L.J.P.A.P. Jayasuriya from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science. Dr. Tushari A. Gunawardana from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science. And Professor D.A. Sattarasinghe from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science. Thank you, sirs. Congratulations to all the recipients. Let us give a big round of applause for all our achievers. We now move to the next keynote presentation of the conference, which will explore the inspiring theme, thinking outside the computer box. It is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Suranga Nanayakara, Associate Professor and the Vice Dean at School of Computing, National University of Singapore. Professor Nanayakara is an internationally recognized researcher known for his innovative work at the intersection of human-computer interaction, assistive technologies, and emerging computing. To introduce our keynote speaker, I invite Dr. Ruwan Ranavira onto the stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Suranga Nanayakara from the National University of Singapore. And Professor Nanayakara is an internationally recognized researcher and innovator in the fields of human-computer interaction, artificial intelligence, assistive technology, human-centered computing. He is based at the School of Computing, National University of Singapore, where he serves in several academic and research leadership roles. In 2011, Professor Nanayakkara founded the Augmented Human Lab, which focuses on developing intelligent human-computer interfaces that extend human perceptual and cognitive capabilities. His research has particularly contributed to assistive technologies for people with visual and hearing impairments, while also exploring how emerging technologies can enhance human capabilities more broadly. His pioneering work has received international recognition, including the MIT Technology Review Young Inventor Under 35 Award for the Asia Pacific region, the Outstanding Young Persons of Sri Lanka Award, the INK Fellowship, and the Research Excellence Medal from the University of Auckland. He was also recognized by the World Intellectual Property Organization as one of 30 global experts featured in its 2021 Technology Trends Report on Assistive Technology. Professor Nanayakkara holds a Bachelor of Engineering and a PhD from the National University of Singapore and has also held academic and research positions at the Singapore University of Technology and Design, the University of Auckland, and MIT Media Lab. His work exemplifies how research, innovation, artificial intelligence, and human-centered design can be brought together to address real-world challenges and create meaningful social impact. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome Professor Suranga Nanayakkara as our keynote speaker. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome.
What is sound ready? Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Janaka, Professor Roshan, and the organizing committee for inviting me for this keynote. Good morning to our distinguished invitees, as well as all the attendees for this symposium. So, what I'll do is, I'll start with an anecdote, something that happened to me about 25 years ago when I started my bachelor's degree at NUS. That really changed the way I thought of research and motivated what I do. Then I'll talk about some specific examples of my research, and then I'll take a few steps back to talk about some approaches, some things I learned which may be of use to all of you, regardless of your discipline. And finally, I'll touch upon how research could end up creating more value beyond papers in terms of translation, commercial, as well as social impact. So that's the plan. Once I get my slides, I can get going. All right, so the stories that I just went to Singapore 2001 for my bachelor's degree. At the time, I was quite naive, and I was sitting in my hostel room reading a book, and I heard this sound. What would you do? I mean, it's not rocket science. You hear somebody knocking, right? What would you do? Obviously, I went and checked who's by the door, but there was no one. And it took me, a while to recognize this happened to be those who are old enough knows this was a Yahoo Messenger notification sound. So I was very taken back. I was a computer engineering student, and not knowing something very basic bothered me a lot. I thought, am I good enough to be doing this degree? But when I really thought more about it, I realized what I did actually made sense, right? What do you expect me to do when you hear a knocking sound? Do you expect me to look at the screen or look at the door? So I thought all these computers are probably not designed thinking human as the center of focus. So that motivated me to really rethink. And I realized when you actually design these interfaces in a not so good way, they can be more harmful than valuable. That was really the motivation. And then once I finished the bachelor's degree and PhD, I thought maybe I should create a research program that really looks into it. And there are 3 things that motivates this work. Firstly, I say all of us are disabled one way or the other. It may be something permanent, maybe something that has a problem with your vision, and you need support to get things done like navigation, accessing information. It may be you are in a country you don't speak language. I was in Japan a couple of years ago, and I could not figure out what all these things were. So I felt really somebody who needed support. Or you may be in a country that you don't understand the culture, the way things are done, so you need support. So every one of us, I say, are disabled one way or the other. So there is opportunity for technology support. There are people though who are really gifted. They don't need any technology. This is somebody I met in 2008, Evelyn Glennie. She came to Singapore and did a performance. The beautiful part is, although she does all of that, she's profoundly deaf since age 12. She can't hear anything. When you ask her, hey, Evelyn, how do you do this? How do you hear? She's like, you guys hear through ears, I hear through my body. So I was like, can we use technology to do something for those who are not as gifted as Evelyn to do something similar? So this is part of my work. One of my PhD students did the work. I brought it to Sri Lanka. This was a smart watch-like interface. When it hears music, it vibrates, it lights up. So somebody who's a hearing person would play an instrument, hear, make adjustments. Somebody who's deaf, play an instrument, feel the vibration, see the light, make adjustments. And this kid who has never heard sound after 3-4 hours of training was able to do this. I mean, it's a simple pattern, but the point is, you can train people to do things with technology support. The second point is, the digital interactions do not match our natural behavior. That door example was a classic example. And looking at this, when we move things, if it is physical, if I needed to give my mic to someone else, I would just take the mic and pass it on, because there's a physical tangibility to it. But when it comes to digital media, there's no such thing. It was very difficult to, back in the days, if I need to give a photo from my phone to someone else, I need to find a way. So 2011 at MIT, I worked with a couple of colleagues to look at how can we provide at least conceptual digital tangibility to intangible digital media, so that I can move stuff just like physical things, take things from one device, drop it to the other just like they are physical. So here you can see there's a phone number. I just take it as if it is physical. I drop it to my phone, it gets copied over. Obviously, the data transfer happens through the cloud. This was pre-Dropbox era. And there were 2 of us. Samsung took my colleague and set up a research center in California called Samsung Think Tank Team, him as the leader. They took this idea, they built a Samsung product called Samsung Flow that allows you to move stuff across Samsung devices, which is now downloaded more than 50 million times. So this is the second thing. The third thing that bothers me is digital devices disconnect us from the real world. They are designed to do so, right? The more I look at the phone, more I look at the app, better in terms of them having the user's attention, which can translate to many, many ways to monetize, right? Imagine now I get a call and I look at the phone, I lose you. And we all think these mobile devices are really part of our life. And I challenge that by asking a simple question. If this is really part of your life, can you take out the phone, go to your home screen, and without looking, can you touch a particular app and open it? It's hard. Instead, if I ask you, can you touch your nose? Can you touch your ear? Can you touch your forehead? You can do it without thinking. We have that ability. So why don't we leverage on that? Instead of constraining everything into a piece of box, can we leverage? So I took ear as an example and ran a study how accurately people can touch. Of course, you can see if there's 2 locations, people can do it very, very accurately. If it is too many regions, the accuracy goes down. This suggests that maybe a ear could be a nice 3-button interface. Now somebody calls me, I can cancel the call without even disconnecting for you guys. I'm going for a run, I can increase my music player volume, or I can change the tracks without losing my attention to the world. We actually went on to prototype this, built a proof of concept, and ran a study and published a paper. So these things I call assistive augmentations. So it's really thinking outside the box, thinking technology not as individual tools, but rather how do we make them part of us? Not just our body, could be integrated to our mind, could be our identity. And this is the concept of shifting, building stuff as interface between tech and human, rather rethinking how we augment the user so that the focus is on the user and the focus is on achieving a goal, and technology does what it does in the background. So this is how the lab is organized with that vision, where we have work focusing on assisting creative tasks, assisting cognitive tasks, and assisting sensory tasks. And we are funded by given our work, we have the typical research grants and some philanthropic funding as well as industry funding. So I'll run through a few projects, as I said. Then I'll take a couple of steps back and talk about the broader principles that may be of value to all of you regardless of the discipline. So these projects are targeting people with visual impairments. This was based on observation. When I was in MIT, there was a blind person who took a class with me. He would take the lecture note, take a picture, and the phone reads the note back to him. There was no issue for him. But I realized this can be done much better, and that led to a project called Iring. That was the initial name. So we simply took the camera out from the phone. Now, instead of having to go through so many steps, he can just point and ask questions. This was the initial idea. Nice research paper. Never going to be a product because, this is so cumbersome, having a golf ball size something on the finger. So we kept on working, worked with the users. As the previous keynote speaker mentioned, a lot of co-design, a lot of participatory design. And then this is before GPT, before the chat GPT era. We had this system. We translate the system into a wearable headphone. 1 question, 1 answer.
Okay. Baked beans, am I right?
Yeah, correct.
Fair pies, baked beans.
Let's try this.
Okay. Chocolate chips. Pancake mix.
Yeah. So 1 question, 1 answer, and we were ready when the GPTs came. Now, the moment the chat GPT came, I can now turn this into a conversational guy. I can ask follow-up questions. I can chat with it. I can ask, hey, what is this thing in the box? How many pills are there? What's the brand? So it suddenly became a conversational companion. So you can do this type of effortless interactions now. And basically, we built the whole platform where there is an intelligence middle layer, and then the upstream device could be either something we custom build, or any of those smart glasses now becoming mainstream, or even the mobile phone if you don't mind having handheld device. And then downstream, we came up with many applications, visual information, smart assistants, booking a taxi, navigating a space, a lot of things. And now suddenly the potential became much more than typical research outcomes. We set up a company, and now that focuses on creating spaces more accessible for anyone. And this is a museum with the IC, a blind person is able to explore.
Hey IC, what's in front of me?
You are standing in front of an enormous diplodocid sauropod fossil.
Using ICs actually brings me a lot of convenience. I go to many museums, for example, but they meant nothing to me. After using IC, I realized that I can get more involved with the items, having a better understanding of what the object is about, without even needing a guide with me.
When we showed this to Singapore president, he was like, look, this is actually beyond blind people. In fact, there's millions of visitors coming to Singapore. They don't understand the Singapore story the way we want to tell them. This can be an assistive tool for anyone, because a tourist is as blind as a blind person to specific information. Now we are in major gardens, major attractions, starting with the Singapore Botanical Garden, which is going to be one of the first UNESCO sites that allows not just sighted visitors, but blind visitors to go and experience the garden on their own. So that's an example of research, starting small, doing papers, not stopping there, taking all the way to a product. And then we thought about what are the other things. The research continues to go. While that is on the side, the startup is working, there's more research questions. We were like, how can we provide distance scene awareness, things far beyond for a blind person? This is a sighted person, but the person is blind. How do we provide that awareness? We came up with a scene sonification strategy. There's no point telling them, hey, there's a tree in front of you, there's a car in front of you. That's not experiential. We came up with a way to create a sonic scene based on an algorithm that we patented. With this now, you get a sense of the space in a more experiential way. We ran studies.
Cows graze on a vibrant green meadow. A group of...
So basically what we showed is that our strategy indeed provided much more experiential outcome. And then we were also thinking future. What if the camera doesn't need to be attached to the body? Camera could be on a drone. So that means I get information ahead of space, not ahead of time. And again, just to make sure that there are meaningful use cases, we worked with blind people, and there seems to be really nice use cases that can be done with this type of setup compared to what you could do with a wearable camera. For example, some blind people were saying that when they come out from the train station, they need to find an exit E. And with a wearable camera, I need to walk around all the way. But with a flying camera, the flying camera will go, search the space, come back, and guides me. Or I want to go for a walk. The flying camera goes, and then I just follow the sound of the drone. Whether it's in front, left, right, I can just follow through. So there are use cases for this. Of course, this is not there yet as a commodity product. But when the drones become something like phones in future, we have done the research and we'll be ready to go to market. I'll quickly run through some use cases for sighted users as well, because what we do is not just for a specific disability. They can augment pretty much anyone. So this is a device we built. Imagine if you're riding a bike. Your hands are busy holding the handle. Your eyes are busy looking at the road. How can you interact with devices? Somebody calling you, how do you cancel the call? One option is voice. Are there alternative things? So we thought, shall we build a chewing gum, which is inside your mouth. Now you can bite it, you can roll it, you can do many, many things. And we looked at various things. How can we make sure that it captures enough gestures at the same time? How can we make it so that it's not obtrusive? It's comfortable to wear. It doesn't augment my look. You don't see me having a big ball inside the mouth. And it's easy to use. And we actually built, in fact, this guy is from University of Peradeniya, second year guy from science faculty, came to my lab, did an internship, then did a PhD, did a company with OpenAI spin-off. Now, super big shot in the AI scene based in Australia. He was part of this project.
You will be able to shuffle through your playlist while writing.
The club isn't. He said, and then what we really wanted to do was to use that technology to build something like this. The people who are paralyzed, the best technology they have is a mechanical joystick. They use the face to move around. But with Chewit, they may be able to just look at the direction they want to go, bite, and the wheelchair could move. We couldn't build that. The master's project was finished, so this is still out there for someone to pick up. This is another project, again by a Sri Lankan student, Jim Souls. The idea is how do we provide a novice user to exercise with the correct posture. With a simple design, a soul, intelligence soul that detect your pressure profile and then provide feedback. The idea is when you do these full body exercises like deadlifting or squatting, your center of pressure should be as close as to your heel. And the novice user doesn't know that. And this sends that center of pressure and provide you a sensation. All you need to do is adjust your posture until that sensation is closer to your heel. And we built this and we tested with visual feedback and without anything. And what we got was this green color is the trainer. So his center of pressure is close to the heel. And you can see when there's nothing, the red color, it's all over the place. When there is our device, either with vibration feedback or visual feedback, people were able to follow the right posture. But when the task is super difficult, like lifting 20 kg, the instruction didn't matter. It was too difficult. Again, patented out there in fact, patented and startup was created. And then second last project, we were also looking at what are the other, sort of crazy ways to think out of the computer box. This is, can we actually modulate our gut feel? When you see somebody, there is a gut feel, could be positive, negative. Can we augment that? Can we augment interoception, which may even lead to behavior changes? We started just getting people to watch movies and record gut signals, see if there are patterns. And we found, there are 4 patterns which is consistent with the literature. And then we constructed patterns based on this. And we were trying to play it back to the user. And many trials. After many trials, we found that maybe if you had 2 actuators, one in the front, one in the back, you create a phantom sensation that feels like the sound is actually playing in the gut. And then you can play with a lot of things. And last year, we published a paper where you can actually use that to, firstly, show that gut feeling can be augmented with external devices. Secondly, to show that this non-invasive feedback can create sensations like, hey, I feel hungry, I feel full, I feel there's a stomach upset. And in fact, this can lead to behavior change. We ran a standard study called water load study that measures how much water you drink. The same person with same condition, under different patterns, drinks less water or more water. So that's that opens up entire new field, what now we call gut-computer interfaces. And we got honorable mention in one of the very premium conferences. And now, when we look at the reason why people have not done this before a lot, for computer science or engineering people, there was not enough easy to use tools to do this type of research. So we ended up creating a toolkit that has our custom built hardware, the software, and all the documentation. We call it now OpenGut. So with this work, anyone can start. We hope there'll be a lot of researchers doing gut-computer interfaces as we go. So this is sort of enabling the researchers. So the last thing I want to mention is another fun way to show technology what it can do and think outside the box is to play technology with other disciplines like art and design. I've been lucky enough to work with artists and designers on large-scale projects. The way they think about things is very different from how I think about as an engineer. The things that matter to them is very different compared to things that matter to me. When we bring things together, naturally they become very unique and interesting. These are large-scale installations that I have done in Singapore. This is like premium places, Marina Bay. These are like over 30 days they need to run. They need to be very robust. And if people don't get the point in 2-3 seconds, they're not going to look at this. So there's a lot of thoughtful interaction design, robust technology design, how you present your work, a lot of things matters. We are part of the Singapore 50th anniversary major exhibition, augmented one of the major bridges and the Marina Bay. And then in Auckland, another architect came to me and they said, let's do something. He wanted to create a pavilion that users can interact. And the idea was, it needs to be magical. He said, if we do anything like gesture, people go wave and things, they know it's, oh, there's a camera that detects. He said, no, we need something that's really magical. And again, this was before ChatGPT. This was around July, June 2021. He said, if we create an structure where I go in, I say something, the structure responded to me in a poetic way and asked me a question, I say something else, and it keeps talking to me. Wouldn't that be magical? For that, we actually built, before the GPTs, our own custom language model that whatever you say, you don't need to say a poem, but even 1 or 2 keywords, it will always respond to you with a poem. And we said it's up in Vienna.
A human or a machine?
You can see the interaction.
Is there any comfort in being a machine?
If machines are new to you, do you think maybe you're more of a cyborg then?
The cyborg is unsure of his place in the human race.
Do you know that you are an architectural installation?
I like to think of myself as one of the creators of a new concept, an
I'll quickly run through. This was installed in one of the best arts and electronics conference called Ars Electronica in Vienna. One thing I saw was people kept talking to it. Then I was like, hey, there's a use case for Sri Lanka. I never spoke English properly, not even 5 words when I went to Singapore. That's because confidence was so low. And if you use all these things like Siri, Google Voice, the moment you say something, it doesn't understand your accent. It says, can you repeat? That brings confidence level even further down. So I was like, this guy, doesn't matter what you say, it will pick up 1 or 2 words and will always give you a response. I thought this might increase the self-confidence. Then I just took the voice part out, built a mobile app called Kavi, because it produced a poem, and ran a study here with university students. And we found that, hey, the poetic version actually does increase the confidence level. And we looked at, we could record everything they said. We could even see the number of words they say goes up because they pick up words from that whole poetic thing. Okay, so those are some specific words. As I said, let me just quickly take a few steps back and highlight 6 principles that may be of value to all of you, regardless of the discipline. First, reframe the problem. I always say, this is a Stanford professor who used to say, what is 2 plus 5? 7. No point. It doesn't allow you to come up with anything creative. It will be 7 no matter when I ask, who I ask from. Just reframe that. What makes 7? Oh, now 2 plus 5 is just 1 solution. 6 plus 1, infinite. Reframe the problem, which is actually has a real-world use cases. Like if we ask how might we build the effective alarm clock, it will be alarm clock. But if I ask how might I wake up on time, alarm clock is only 1 solution. I could have a bed that throws you out. I can have a sleep analyzer that analyzes your sleep cycle. You can think of all kinds of solutions. Similarly, when the IC project came, we didn't ask ourselves how might we build another mobile app for blind people. Instead, we asked how might we enable blind and low vision users to access info, which gives us to think beyond smartphone app. Second thing is connect and combine. There's a very interesting Japanese website called Chindogu. They show a lot of examples of combining. They call them these are not useful. They're not useless either. They say they are unuseless stuff. But it gives the inspiration here. You can actually combine things. If you find a way to combine them, you will get interesting solutions. So my Chewit was thinking of combining the computer mouse and a chewing gum. And once you do it, you get something interesting. Third principle, challenge assumptions. when you think of the GUT project, if you think of a project where I want to change the eating behavior, I myself trying to eat healthy, no matter I do my New Year resolution, I promise my wife, I tell the lab mates, if I eat junk, I will pay you guys the lab welfare account, all of that. Or I have my health tracking app. All of this is explicit, based on users' willpower or explicit info. But I challenge that assumption. Can we actually do something where we can change the user behavior without user knowing? And that led to all this gut-computer interface research. And we actually showed last year that carefully constructed patterns, non-invasively played through a belt, can change eating behavior. Fourth, which is the most important and which is the most lacking skill these days, is paying attention. Because we are so distracted with our phones and devices, paying attention. And that was one thing that helped me to do some of the projects. The reason is people say one thing, do something else, and they feel some other way. And you need to observe, you need to pick up things. And as the Carnot diagram says, users doesn't know what they want. You need to figure out what they want. Users know what their problems. You don't know their problems. So you need to talk to them, observe them to find out the problems. The solution should come from you. That's why they say if Apple asks the users what kind of phone you want, they would have told, give me a lighter phone, give me a phone with larger screen. And as Henry Ford says, when he asked people, they said, we want a faster horse. You need to translate that into a faster horse means going from A to B faster, which means a car become a potential solution. So similarly, when my friend in MIT, when I asked him, he had no issue with the technology. He was very fine. He said his phone is amazing. But looking at him, unlocking the phone, finding an app, open the app, take a picture, it's so cumbersome. So then I offered him something that made him bow through the smart ring. Fifth principle, we need to make it happen. Sometimes we get into this situation of we just talk, overanalyze. We go to this, what I call analysis paralysis. We should go beyond that. Sometimes you need to get the hands to work. It's okay, you might fail, but at least you learn something. So instead of having this view of I need to figure out the perfect answer, I need to have all things figured out before I start, it's very dangerous because there's two dangers with this. One is it's not interesting to me anymore because I know the solution already. Second thing is along the way, if my pre-constructed solution doesn't have a piece, I'm stuck. Instead, I take the view of a cloth maker. Take whatever the pieces comes on your way and stitch them together. So these are the 5 things, as I said. Reframe the problem, connect and combine, challenge assumptions, pay attention, make it happen, and in my mind, most importantly, the last principle is have fun. I think if you can't have fun, if it is boring, whether it's research or teaching or whatever, you may not invest enough time and effort on this. So I made a promise to myself, if anything is not fun for me, I'm not going to do. So all this research, coming here, I'm up here after a 3-day intensive workshop that I run every year in Sri Lanka for university students, modeled after Stanford Design Thinking Program, free for our students. 40 hours of engagement in 3 days. I do that because it's fun. So anything you do, make sure it's fun because we have limited time and time is too valuable not to do boring stuff. So when you do things, as the Vice Chancellor says, we need to think of creating impact. And people always question, even in Singapore, you use public money, right? So what have you done for us? Of course, we recognize you write papers, fine. But what is beyond that? So just to show how we answer that, okay, yes, we did the papers. We were the first to publish in the top conference. 27 years after that conference existed, we were part of this technology review thing, and we were on the cover page. That's all good. That's mostly your theoretical part, your knowledge dissemination, which is important. What's beyond? So this is something we built, which allows deaf swimmers to understand the timing. Before that, they had a system where a deaf person had to look at a light beside them, and when they hear the gunshot, they jump. Very cumbersome. We built something that plugs into commercial timing systems. And this was used in the national games in Singapore 2015, 2016. And this is the actual national deaf finals in Singapore, which use our tech. This is a paper we published 2013 that allows a sound to be picked up, knock to be picked up from the sensor, and a light lights up on the other side with a wireless receiver. 5 years later, it became a product still selling in Singapore called Noctify that allows a blind, deaf person to attach this outside the door and have this inside the house. So sometimes people come and press the bell. Yeah, it lights up and vibrates. Sometimes people knock on the door. It still picks the knock and lights up. And it required us 5 years struggle after the paper is published to get it in. So the impact won't happen unless you push for it. Don't expect you write a paper, submit a patent, somebody will do it. I realized that a lot of things worked for me because not just me and the team, the researchers, they were invested and they pushed for it. I explained this. This was a 2011, my own pet project when I was at MIT. Started with my own prototype that I built without anyone's help. Now with a large team, we are a national startup recognized by the Singapore government and quite satisfying valuation and going up. And yeah, so that's also supported by, the other thing is NUS do have this mechanism to support these things. For example, I am given time, not just special consideration to me, pretty much any faculty. 20% of time, you do your own thing, no problem, as long as you declare, and as well as you can get internal funding. IP, all set in the policy. I don't have to go and negotiate. I just tick the policy and you're ready to go. So they have made this very seamless. On top of that, now this is part of my performance. Used to be teaching, research, service. Now entrepreneurship and translation is the fourth category, which translate to my bonus. So even if the startup doesn't make the cut, I get my bonus annually. So there's many incentives that the university introduced to push us towards creating impact beyond papers. And this is my PhD work. I took it to Sri Lanka, and there's a private deaf school in Ratmalana, not the government one, the private one. I set it up there, 2008, collected data, I got the paper. Ever since, even as we speak, now 15 years later, it is used by about 100 kids in that school. It has become part of their lives. They enjoy music through this chair. And because it was with them, they started recognizing use cases that I never thought of. Once, a teacher called me and said, hey, we're actually using this for speech therapy. I said, how? She said, when we use speech therapy, I say something, the kid has to repeat, but sometimes the kid moves the lips, no sound. So I rewired the haptic chair such that when I speak, the kid feels. When he speaks, he feels himself. So the moment you do that, you know whether you made some sound. So I said, I don't believe. Then I came and did a 6 months of study where one group of kids do this, the other group of kids did their regular. And every month, we gave them a test of 20 words and measured how many they spoke properly. And this is what we found. So experimental group, control group, and the teacher, of course, knowing them, teacher's ranking was quite high. We had an independent evaluator as well. Independent evaluators' scores were lower, but still there was a significant gap between those who had the haptic chair versus those who did the control group. A paper that we never expected. And finally, this is the note I received from a lady from Hamilton. She came to my Auckland lab and she said she went through some tumor operation. Her hearing was lost and she gave up driving, everything became boring. The device I showed you right at the beginning, I said, I have this. I will give you this. I don't need any data or anything, but I need you to tell me how useful it was. And she sent me this handwritten note. And she said, for the first time, she drove back from Hamilton to Auckland, turning the volume up. She could feel the music. The memories came back, and she said, you should have seen me dancing in the car. And these kind of things really, sometimes it's not commercial, you know, like changing thousands of people. Changing one person's life, still a huge impact. Yeah, so this is not something that I can do on my own. amazing team of people over the years, including many students from Sri Lanka, including students from Peradeniya, has been part of the lab doing all these things. And people ask sometimes, give us a little bit more context. It's very hard for me to come to Sri Lanka every single time and talk about it and repeat myself. I wrote a book released last year, available for all of you, plus any school in Sri Lanka. We have committed 5,000 books. All government schools are entitled to get free copies, somebody sponsored. These are all approved by the Ministry of Education. So if you know anyone who needs the book from a school, they can contact me. We still have a number of books to be given away. And finally, I kept creating opportunities. I got the MOU done between Singapore, NUS, and the government of Sri Lanka. Last year, we offered 12 PhDs. That was mostly for computing and engineering. But it went so well, this year NUS said, hey, we actually want more students from Sri Lanka, more disciplines. So 12th of October, we are coming, not just computing, engineering, science, medicine, including social sciences. We are doing a half-day program in Jaik Hilton. We want you faculty to recommend, nominate your top students, and we'll invite them. We have space to invite about 200 plus, and from there, we will offer them scholarships. And these are no strings attached, 400,000 worth scholarship. Last year, we gave 12. If you nominated good students, we might be able to get more this year. On that note, thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Nanayakkara. For that thought-provoking presentation, please be on stage for the token of appreciation.
May I now invite the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ranjit Pallegama, onto the stage to present a memento to Professor Suranga Nanayakkara.
Thank you, sirs. Research sustains innovation, informs teaching, and defines the place of an institution in society. Conducting outstanding research and getting the work published in a reputed journal is by no means an easy task. Therefore, excellence in research deserves recognition and celebration.
This year, a certificate of recognition and a cash award will be awarded to the outstanding scholars of the University of Peradeniya who became the corresponding author by publishing their scholarly articles in Q1 journals and thereby bringing pride to the university through their dedication to research and academic excellence. So let's start with the Faculty of Agriculture. May I cordially invite Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, to kindly join us on the stage. And to receive the awards, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture onto the stage. The name list of the awardees will be displayed on the screen, so you'll be able to see. And may I kindly invite the award recipients along with the dignitaries on the stage to join us for a group photograph to capture this memorable moment of recognition and celebration. Thank you. And next we are going to move to the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences. May I cordially invite Professor Ranjit Pallegama, Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, to kindly join us on the stage. To receive the awards, I would also like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences onto the stage. And I would also like to invite the award recipients onto the stage to kindly gather for a group photograph capturing this special moment of achievement and recognition. Thank you. And now we are going to move to the Faculty of Arts. May I cordially invite Professor Pradeepa Bandaranayaka to kindly join us on stage, and also to receive the awards, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Arts onto the stage. And I would also respectfully request the award recipients to remain on stage, or I would like to invite you all to the stage for a group photograph to commemorate this significant moment. Thank you. And next we have Faculty of Dental Sciences. It is my privilege to extend a cordial invitation to Professor Lakshman Samaranayake to grace the stage with his presence. And also, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Dental Sciences to the stage. I also would like to invite the awardees or the recipients to come together for a group photograph celebrating excellence, achievement, and recognition. Thank you. And next we have the Faculty of Engineering. It is my honor to extend a warm invitation to the Director of the University Research Council to kindly join us on stage. To receive the awards on behalf of the Faculty of Engineering, I would respectfully invite the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering to step forward. And also, I would like to respectfully request the award recipients onto the stage for a group photograph to celebrate this significant moment. Thank you. And now we are going to move to the Faculty of Management. It is my distinct honor to extend a cordial invitation to Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, to kindly grace on the stage with his presence. And also to receive the awards on behalf of the Faculty of Management, I would like to respectfully call upon the Dean of the Faculty of Management to step forward. And also I would like to invite the award recipients of the Faculty of Management for a group photograph. Thank you. Faculty of Medicine. It is my privilege to extend a cordial invitation to Professor M.D. Lamawansa, the former Vice Chancellor of University of Peradeniya, to kindly grace the stage with his presence. To receive the awards on behalf of the Faculty of Medicine, I would like to respectfully call upon the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine to step forward. And I would also like to invite the award recipients of the Faculty of Medicine to take a group photograph. Thank you. And now we have Faculty of Science. I would like to extend a cordial invitation to Professor Rohan Jeremiah onto the stage with his presence so that we could give the awards to the Dean of the Faculty of Science. So I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Science to step forward. And at the same time, I would like to invite the award recipients of the Faculty of Science to join us for a group photograph. Thank you. And next we have Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science. It is my privilege to extend a cordial invitation to Professor Suranga Nanayakara to kindly grace the stage with his presence. To receive the awards on behalf of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science to step forward. And also, I would like to invite the award recipients of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science to come over to the stage for a group photograph. Thank you, sir. And congratulations to all the recipients. Let us give a big round of applause for all our achievers.
As we approach the end of this inaugural session, it is time to express our gratitude to all who made this event possible. I now call upon the ceremonial co-chair of iPURSE 2026, Professor Saku Yatigamane Kanayaka, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee of iPURSE 2026. First and foremost, I wish to express our gratitude to all dignitaries and distinguished guests for gracing this prestigious occasion with their presence. Our heartfelt appreciation goes to our chief guest, Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka, former Dean, Dentistry at the University of Hong Kong and the University of Queensland, Australia. Sir, we are deeply honored by your presence and sincerely grateful for your inspiring and thought-provoking address. We extend our deepest gratitude to our guest of honor and keynote speaker, Professor Rohandi Jeremiah, Associate Dean for Global Health and Professor of Human Development Nursing Science at the University of Illinois, Chicago, USA. Sir, thank you for joining us today and for delivering such an inspiring and motivating address. We would also like to thank Sivanathan Laboratories, Chicago, for supporting his visit. I also wish to express our sincere appreciation to Professor Terence Madhujit, Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, for gracing this occasion with his presence and for his inspiring address. His continuous guidance, encouragement, and unwavering support have been instrumental in making this prestigious event a reality. We are equally grateful to Professor Ranjit Pallegama, Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, for gracing this occasion with his presence and for his invaluable guidance, continued support, and significant contribution towards the success of this event. We are privileged to have our keynote speakers present. We extend our sincere appreciation to Professor Suranga Nanayakara, Associate Professor, Vice Dean at the School of Computing, National University of Singapore, for his insightful and enriching keynote address delivered today. Dr. Ramana Vijayamuri, Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering at the University of Maryland, for agreeing to deliver a keynote address tomorrow. We gratefully acknowledge the university leadership and the deans of all faculties, the University of Peradeniya, for their valuable contribution and for honoring this occasion with their gracious presence. Our sincere appreciation also goes to Professor Barna Jayawardena, Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, the Deputy Registrar, and all members of the administrative and the support staff of the faculty for their generous assistance and dedicated efforts in facilitating the arrangements to host this prestigious event. Our gratitude also extends to the Sri Lanka Inventors Commission for their invaluable support in organizing the competitions and for being with us today. We also gratefully acknowledge Professor Sanjeeva Malavyarachi, Director, Global Engagement, and Dr. Ashwin Amarasinghe, Director of the BLITO, together with their staff for their valuable assistance with the organizational and operational aspects of the event. I would be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge the tremendous support extended by the academic staff of the University of Peradeniya, the acting registrar, the bursar and his office, the deputy bursar, local supplies and staff, and all administrative and non-academic staff members who contributed to the successful organization of this event. To all our distinguished award recipients, the winner of the Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka Research Excellence Awards 2026, the Tier 4 Star Award recipients, and the University Research Council Research Award recipients. Your dedication, hard work, excellence, and remarkable achievements are truly inspiring. We extend our warmest congratulations to each of you. I would like to acknowledge the dedicated, invisible team who worked tirelessly behind the screen. The organizing committee of iPURSE 2026 and its support team devoted countless hours, day and nights, in making this event a success. A very special word of appreciation goes to Professor Rupika Rajakaruna, General Chair of iPURSE 2026, whose vision, meticulous planning, unwavering commitment, and exceptional leadership guided every aspect of this event. It has been a privilege to contribute to the organization of this conference under her leadership. Our sincere gratitude goes to Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, Director of the University of Research Council, who served as the award chair and the overall coordinator for his exemplary leadership and efficient coordination throughout the preparation for this event. We gratefully acknowledge the chairs of the other principal committees, technical program, publications, exhibition, and marketing and communication, together with their dedicated teams for their outstanding contribution to the success of the event. Our special thanks go to the heads of the departments across the 9 faculties for facilitating the smooth execution of the conference activities. We are also grateful to all the session chairs and co-chairs who generously devoted their time and expertise in guiding and evaluating the sessions. Our sincere appreciation also goes to the staff and student volunteers, session coordinators, and research assistants for their invaluable contribution to the smooth conduct of the sessions. We extend our heartfelt thanks to all paper and poster presenters, as well as all contributing authors. Your scholarly contributions and active participation gave this conference its true academic value. We also gratefully acknowledge the reviewers for generously contributing their time and expertise to reviewing the abstracts. The editorial board of the Ceylon Journal of Science is also gratefully acknowledged for its commitment and valuable contribution to the successful publication of the special issue. Our sincere appreciation also goes to the compeers of the iPURSE 2026 inauguration ceremony, Ms. Jennifer and Mr. Buddhisha, for conducting today's proceedings with grace, confidence, and professionalism, and for ensuring the smooth flow of the program. We extend our sincere gratitude to the curator of the University of Peradeniya and the staff for the beautiful floral displays and other arrangements. Our appreciation also goes to the university security personnel and all supporting staff for their valuable assistance. We gratefully acknowledge Royal Mall for facilitating the catering arrangements. Our sincere thanks also go to the technical, lighting, sound, printing, and cleaning teams, whose dedication and professionalism contributed greatly to the smooth conduct of today's ceremony. Finally, we express our profound appreciation to all our sponsors, whose generous support has been vital to the success of iPURSE 2026. In particular, I wish to acknowledge our silver sponsor, a Bhavan company, together with Lankari Factories Limited, CIC Seeds and Nethwin, for their valued support. If I have inadvertently omitted anyone, please accept my sincere apologies in our heartfelt gratitudes. Every contribution, whether visible or behind scenes, has played an important part in the success of this occasion. Once again, I thank you all for your gracious presence, invaluable support, and active participation in making the inauguration of iPURSE 2026 a truly memorable and successful occasion. Thank you, and I wish you all a pleasant afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. This now concludes the formal inaugural ceremony of iPURSE 2026, but we have a few announcements for you all. I would like to invite the invitees, deans, directors, and Professor Lakshman Samaranayak awardees to present and to proceed to the boardroom at the Department of Animal Science to have lunch. And the other participants are kindly requested to proceed to the common room of the Department of Animal Science, where lunch will be served. Our volunteers will lead you to the lunch venue. Then, the plenary session on engineering education will start here at the Jubilee Hall after lunch.
Please also note that the exhibition will be open from 1:30 p.m. onwards. Everyone is most welcome to visit.
The oral and poster presentations will commence at 1:30 p.m. in the Department of Animal Science. There will be parallel presentation sessions and poster presentations.
Thank you all for your gracious presence and attention. We wish you a productive and engaging conference ahead. Enjoy your lunch and networking.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, as our inaugural ceremony concludes, we will now have the ceremonial departure of the procession. Please rise and remain standing at your seats until the dignitaries have left the hall.